Hi. Wow, I should have looked in the mirror before I did this. I just wanted to come on and do a quick live video with you. I'll try not to distract myself with the preview, but some good things since my last preview. Some good things have happened since my last video uploaded yesterday morning. Um, I'll tell you about a few of these things. I want to talk about my Madonna screenplay project since I really want to talk about that well and not forget anything. So after that, I want to talk about my trip to DSS, Department of Social Services, and my efforts at getting work and my status of hearing that there's an eviction in process. And maybe a few other things, some philosophical things. All right. So, my Madonna movie project, I think this would be a really great project for Madonna to collaborate on. If you don't know, I had written a screenplay at the end of my college life in 1998, and it would be a screwball comedy. It would have Madonna featured as a character, not her playing somebody else, but Madonna as a character in the story. It was a fictional story. I should say past tense because it was already written and submitted to Creative Artists Agency, and it was an early form of what I ultimately developed it into. Took place in the 1980s, and so it was called Manhattan Masquerade, and it was rejected. They sent me a letter back saying we're not interested in it this time. Okay, fine. So I spent, and that was 1998. So I've been spending some time on and off. My mom was really helpful and really helpful in the sense that she was supportive, and she's always, whenever I felt down about trying to find work, she said, "Well, honey, what about your writing?" So she's always been supportive about my writing, and I've been bothered that I haven't been able to make a career of myself as a screenwriter. And I've talked about this in videos earlier. Sorry. I just have all these different ideas. So this current project, so I had been writing a scene by scene outline, and I was really proud of myself. I'm using this theory called dramatica that that very much helped me in writing this, toning it down, fine tuning how to craft the message. Um, anyway, you can learn more about dramatica. You can go to dramatica.com and learn more about the theory. So I left. All right. So here are some reasons why I think it would be great for Madonna to be a part of. Um, because of course I can't go forward really with the project unless I have her um, good graces, so to speak, like her endorsement. And her endorsement would really help a lot. Um, it takes place during her heyday, her career heyday. Not that she's not, a big name now, but when she was really big in the 1980s, 1980, 85 or 86, um, it portrays her well. Um, it's honest, and it deals with Kabbalistic themes such as outer garments versus inner self, and what you truly are on the inside versus external differences and class social differences and class social classes and so forth. And it's somewhat of a telling of a retelling of the Joseph in Egypt story, which, if you don't know, is where in the Bible, in the end of Genesis, where Jacob has 12 brothers and a sister, Dinah. But anyway, um, Joseph is sold to some merchants. Depends on which verse you read, which merchants they are, and sold to Egypt. And then he gets thrown into prison, and he earns his value not through the physical, the social status that he has, but his innate ability to interpret messages from God. And it gets him in front of Pharaoh. And I want, and then ultimately Pharaoh um, lifts him up out of prison, lifts him up to be basically the choice maker, the real decision maker around what happens, around the administration of Egypt, the Egyptian government. It's some have called it like the ultimate rags to riches story, and so I think Madonna would appreciate that too. Um, and I know Madonna has been fascinated by Kabbalah. I'm Jewish. I didn't just throw Kabbalistic themes in just at the last moment. They're integral to the story. So my story is a retelling of that. I was fascinated by the relationship between Joseph and Pharaoh, and in my story, it'd be Joe and Madonna, and what would motivate the Pharaoh to really, to really see the true potential in Joe. And it's a comedy. It's a screwball comedy, like Bringing Up Baby. It's heavily influenced by Bringing Up Baby early on. Um, Love Crazy, and comments on relationships, and just more than relationships, comments on friendships. Like, what does a true, deep actual friendship depend upon? It doesn't depend necessarily on social class or bribery or how you can get ahead in the world by using somebody else. True, actual getting to know body. Sorry, I trip over my tongue over this. Um, Getting to know body. Sorry, getting to know somebody. Sorry, I'll cool down. Um, because it's just you and me talking, me doing most of the talking. Um, so I think it portrays Madonna in a positive light. She's steadfast. It's Joe, the main character, who changes, and the message in the story is something that, in some sense, people have told me, or at least I can observe in myself, and I could learn from it. Um, that rather than mimic what you expect others to think of expect you to behave, you should care less about that, and simply be your own person. And the Dramatica story form just melded with that. What do I mean by Dramatica story form? It's a theory, it's a concrete theory about how the mind works and twists and turns to spit out these themes, and the themes orient in a certain way depending on factors in um, the story. And um, so the primary character Joe's problem, it gave as I think expectation, and then the solution is determination. Those may be reversed between expectation and determination, but it just felt nicely. It jibed nicely with what I had already established, and so there's a clear message. It's not just it doesn't come across as just written by computer or whatever. Um, Expresses a full story. It has Madonna developed as somebody struggling. Her own character arc is she's struggling with people treating her in certain ways because of her stardom and her status. And Joe is at the opposite end, but on some level, they are both alike in certain ways. You may have seen moments in movies where they say you and I are a lot alike. And the Dramatica theory uh, explains why that's so and so forth. Okay, so it portrays Madonna in a positive light. um, she's encouraging in a certain way. It's screwball comedy, so she's is acerbic at times and so forth. But I think she'd really appreciate her portrayal, and it has '80s music in there, not just '80s music thrown in, but music that is of that time. Up until 1985, somewhere 1985 or 1985, um, and no music after that. And the music is chosen for particular scenes um, that would enhance the theme of the scene. Um, and I think there's, as I said before, the Kabbalistic element, the Kabbalistic theme of outer garments versus what's inside, and Kli or Klipot, um, disguising and misconstruing and allowing people, and they causing people to misunderstand and misinterpret. There's a lot of misinterpretation, which would go along with comedy. So I hope she's a part of it. So anyway, I graduated to, sorry. Let me rephrase that. I had gone to Syracuse University and graduated from the SI Newhouse School of Public Communications with a television, radio, and film degree, and there's a dual degree also in political science from College of Arts and Sciences. Um, so I left a message with one of the agents there, who the secretary said she would pass it along, and I haven't heard anything. So um, I don't know if it really captures his interest or not. I know Madonna's film agent, and I thought maybe as a second try, maybe another avenue, I could message the agent, that agent. At this point, even though I had already been creating the scene by scene outline for a feature film, this would be a feature film, resembling the fun and hopefully capturing the 1980s feel very well. Um, I could message her agent. I reached out by email to a production company that's associated with her, and I haven't received anything back. It's been like 10 days, something like that. I think maybe a little bit longer, but I don't know. I simply asked in this email, these are the strong points of the story. Do you think that this would be something that Madonna would be interested in collaborating on? Um, and these are the points that I think are persuasive. Good reasons why I think she would be happy to be part of it. Um, so my next step, I'm thinking, is her film agent, just composing a new email. You have to shoot your shot, right, in life. I'm already 50 years old. I'll be 51 this November, November 14th. And you get only one, you're guaranteed knowledge of only one life, one lifetime. Um, so I guess I will do that. I know I will do that. Message her agent. I want some kind of feedback about it. I'm hoping for some kind of feedback. I understand, but I just am hoping for some kind of feedback. Um, Even if it's just a no. And that's what reminds me of this interesting documentary called My Date with Drew. And it's about somebody who, a real life documentary, obviously, somebody who had a crush, I'd say had a crush on Drew Barrymore and was about the same age as she was. And won some money using an answer that was Drew Barrymore in the game show, and he figured that he could either use the money to pay like rent or something, or he could go and try to, like Kismet, if you know what Kismet is, um, try to get a date with Drew Barrymore. And so he creates this, I'll say successful, for those of you who hope, it's a happy ending, you want to see a good movie with a happy ending. It is a happy ending. Um, I think this is around 2005 or 2010 or something like that. I have it on DVD. I bought it on Amazon, so you should be able to find it there. And it's also available, I think, on Amazon Prime. May still be. Um, so I haven't watched it in a long time. Maybe I should watch it again on Amazon Prime. But anyway, um, it leads up to through several machinations and efforts and avenues and ways of going about it. He finally gets the date, and works out well. Nice. I hope that they're still in contact to some extent. Um, so I've been hoping that that would happen with me and Madonna. Not necessarily the date, but just meeting her or collaborating with her on something. Because I thought of myself as um, a good artist in my own right. I grew up on what did I grew up on these artists, Jim Henson, as a toddler, like really, really early, like first grade, years up to and including first grade. It was Steven Spielberg, although I think he came a little bit later. But before Steven Spielberg, it was Jim Henson. No, actually, I'd seen Return of the Jedi. So, yeah, George Lucas. Sorry, George Lucas, Jim Henson, and Mr. Dress Up, to be honest. And then George Lucas, of course, and then Steven Spielberg from there onward. He's my favorite director, easily. He's my favorite director. And anyway, I could go on about uh, my interest in Steven Spielberg. By the way, if you want to see like a quasi autobiography, check out what was the name of that? The It's like it's the somethings, like the Spielbergs or the somethings. I can't. It's a change in the name. Maybe I can look it up here. Distract myself from looking at my face. It's like the word is something to do with telling a story. Um, Here I'll put in Spielberg filmography. Here we go. Because as I recall, he was um, the producer and the director. The Fablemans, right? I was thinking fable, like you tell a story, you tell a fable, and so forth. The Fablemans. I always thought it was funny that his name was Spielberg, like spiel and just talking and speaking and spoke, and actually maybe casting a spell like Spielberg. Anyway, casting a spell of entertainment. Um, so anyway, I haven't been able to get a job in my career field, my chosen career field. And I should also mention Gene Roddenberry, um, for television. He was Star Trek was really what motivated me the strongest to want to go into a career of developing TV series. And there's one that is set in the White House, and it's a comedy, and it's like Barney Miller or Night Court or WKRP. Well, more like Barney Miller, which is I think I've come to love for its well told stories and distinctive and familiar, loving, lovable characters, um, and strong themes and so forth. Um, so I've been out of work since August 8th, 19. Sorry, that's not that far back. No, August 8th, 2025, and I don't know what it was. There were several names on our list. See, I was going through a temp agency, and there were several names on the list from that same temp agency, and I got a call from somebody at the temp agency saying it's not because of poor performance, it's simply they just laid us off. Um, so I don't know what was going on. I could venture guesses, but I don't want to go into that now. But in some sense, it's sad. I really wanted to talk about this. I have a good, I think, effective resume, effective in the sense that it's organized well, it communicates well. But I guess now at my age, 50, I've gotten some feedback or some notion that people may feel that I'm not dependable. I guess because I've had different jobs, I'm just trying to make ends meet, and I feel like I should be rather commended for being able to keep going at it, trying to find work. A number of times, it's been bad luck. I've just had like, for example, I worked at an insurance agency for 11 years, and they were going down financially, and they went out of business. We went over to, as like a tryout period, I guess, so something like a tryout period. We went over to another agency, and I was there for 7 months, and then I was let go, and then other people have been let go. I think basically everybody from the original insurance agency that I'd been with for 11 years were just let go over time. Some just retire. I know one person simply retired out of it, and then there was another company where I just it utilized my office skills, and then there are slow periods, and I'll say it's manufacturing industry, and the HR person said, "Sorry, the we'll have to cut your hours." It was around June, May, or something like that. Okay, so I was still working there, and I took a supplemental job, part-time job at um, at a supermarket chain, one of the branches of a supermarket chain, and I didn't like that at all. It was boring, to be honest. It was really boring, and um, there was some PTSD from some past experience, not related to work, but that combined, perhaps somebody somebody suggested that perhaps the fact that over time my left leg, due to a stroke, from well, technically like December 30th, 2018, left me with a weak, left leg muscles. I can walk around, I'm mobile, but over time, like half an hour of walking or whatever, for example, my left leg does weaken, and or like 45 minutes, the thigh starts to hurt and so forth. And under stress, my foot, what do they call it? Drop foot. My foot, your foot should be like this, and then sometimes under, especially under stress, it can kind of twist inward. So, um, anyway, perhaps that had something to do with it, but I didn't like that job, even though I kept going and going until I found another job, um, in a department of a healthcare company, and they after some time they just eliminated the company. There were bids to the state, and somebody else outbid the company, so it was just eliminated. So again, for about a month, I was out of work, and then I applied directly to that company, and I worked there, given practically no training, and we were just plopped down, and we were care managers. Well, we were care manager representatives or whatever, care something care assistants, and there were a bunch of us sitting together, and it was a call center basically. And I remember somebody else who was in the same field who had done that job before. She was at another healthcare company, probably doing similar work, and she even admitted that they gave us no training, as a high turnover rate, like to the point where they just didn't care. All right, fine, he's gone. So I had, after a while, and I was being paid peanuts. I've never gotten more than $20 an hour at these jobs, and in my whole career, in my whole lifetime working, so far. So that's another reason why I really want to get that movie filmed. There's several reasons why I want that movie filmed, produced. Um, Another reason to is to demonstrate to people like my former classmates and so forth, that people who know me, that I am capable of producing this, producing something of high quality. I'm envious when I watch like movies like what Steven Spielberg puts out, and other movies. I can do something like that. Um, anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. So, um, at some point, I just had mental strain from PTSD from um, something from about 30 years ago. So, um, I I couldn't, and I couldn't. I wanted to talk with somebody, and nobody was around really. So I think what they did was, it's very clear. Basically, they pushed on me more work and gave me less time, and then said that I wasn't improving to their satisfaction. I think basically they changed it to the point where they could easily just come up with an excuse to get rid of me. But I'm somebody that shows up every day at work, and I'm responsible, and I call in, and I did have one job at an inn and suite, about a month ago, a little maybe 2 months ago at this point. Um, and I was showing up every day, and I was responsible. I didn't even call in sick once. I mean, it was a short time, but I guess I didn't have hotel experience or inn experience. So, for whatever reason, I got a call from the general manager saying, "We're going in a different direction," and da da da. And I understand he said that they were willing to give references. So forth. So I think I asked for the references, like, "Can you give me a good reference?" And so, yes. So I just had bad luck with jobs here, and up until 2021, I didn't have a car, so that was another holdback. I just had a bus line, and it's been very difficult. And I hope people recognize that. And I'm resourceful, and I'm smart. Thank goodness I'm really smart. I mean, both my parents were Mensa members. That's where they met, and I know I feel like I keep talking about that, but indirectly, like genetically, I suppose perhaps it shows. It's an indicator of how smart I am, and other people have, including my girlfriend, has said, just come across as being very smart. I don't try. Like, I breathe air and I come across smart, I guess. My girlfriend also says how cute I am, attractive. You're gorgeous and so forth. Um, I guess. And I probably talked about that in an earlier video about never having felt like I was attractive to girls. I say girls because I was in middle school and high school and so forth. Even somewhat elementary school, in the sense that I felt ostracized. I'm getting going off on a tangent, but I hope I make something of my life. Um, And I wondered along the side that even my fascination, would I call it fascination? My deep interest in developing this female presentation for myself that you've seen in other videos, or it's available in other videos. There's a whole channel called the Samantha Bahar Journey. I forget what it's even called. The Samantha Bahar Journey, something like that. Uh, it's the only podcast. I have about 5 podcasts that I want to develop here on this channel. It's the only one that has Samantha Bahar in there, so that's the one. So I want to take it to the next level. I've gone through in the past, I've used like basically drugstore makeup skills, and I want something more professional. I I've admired what Gray Phillips, who's also a female impersonator, has been able to do, and the female impersonators like Jimmy James, yeah, Jimmy James, who was a really effective Marilyn Monroe impersonator, and she sang live, or he as her sang live, meaning not lip sync to somebody singing, not lip sync to music playing, actually sang in a female voice. And ironically, that's what led Gray Phillips to develop this female presentation career. Um, I have developed about 5 albums worth of music, drawing from my own experience, simply shifting the gender, but singing in 1980s style. I haven't produced it yet, but I looked into a music producer, and I just don't have the funds. I haven't had the funds. I also want this channel to be a lot more than it's been. It has potential, just like myself. Um, if you want to help support me, please go to I was going to say www. Everybody knows that www. vvproductions.media, and that's a store, and has some a bio about me, a bio about my female alter ego, and so forth. Right now it has apparel, and it has a mug. I want to add in other things. You can buy it right there. It's handled through a third party in terms of the actual buying, and it's produced on demand. And the production costs and so forth, it's all in the cost. There are sweatshirts, maybe a hoodie, I forget, t-shirts. Right now they all have the symbol of that green genie. That, what did I nickname? I gave the genie that you see in this channel, that logo, a nickname. I'm blanking on it, which I'm blanking on. I think it starts with, not Victoria. It's I'm blanking on it right now, but that's my mascot, and it just has that. But I wanted to go further. All the proceeds from that will go to, for example, maintaining my Verizon account. I have internet, cable, and landline phone, tied in with Verizon, and I've established myself as a DBA, Visionary Ventures, and I had started an early one using buy me a coffee, and nobody clicked on that. I want to get attention towards this. Like, I know the economy is in a slump right now, but if you can, please support me. As I said before, all the proceeds go towards that. I have a lifetime subscription to video generation AI, which mean, and I've already created some videos, like an opening theme sequence where I can put credits in, and so forth and so on. But all the scripting, all the actual work is done by me. It's not AI. It's not completely AI generated. Um, I put a lot of thought into it. I want to, for example, there's a podcast about UFOs. I want to cover alternative explanations to several famous UFO cases, and I cover them over time. So the cases over time, like the episodes would be in order. And I have an episode guide in mind for this. And I want to explore more topics. I want it to be something like Unsolved Mysteries meets, what was that? The Y Files. AJ has this podcast of his own called the Y Files, and but I also want to cover it in a different way. I want to um, essentially do something like Unsolved Mysteries, but offer an alternative explanation towards the end, and what explore the UFO phenomenon, like even from a sociological point of view. Um, what what about us misperceives things? What about us generates the UFO phenomenon in general? Um, and then there's the Samantha Bahar podcast, exploring my journey. I want to create a documentary about my journey developing a female persona, and hopefully performing and developing a voice feminization techniques and so forth. I can speak somewhat like in a feminine way, a feminine register, uh, inflection and pitch. But there's more to it than that. There's a real science behind it, real amount of training. Um, and there are other podcasts that I'm not thinking of at the moment. And then of course there's this vlog podcast. So right now, where do I stand right now? Well, um, I called. I've been call. I blah, blah, blah. Let me rephrase. Okay, I've been using Claude AI for suggestions, and I've been going on ZipRecruiter and applying to jobs, and Indeed. I've been using Indeed before ZipRecruiter. Um, and then I talked with somebody in a video chat session. So yeah, being an alumnus, I think that's what you call it, from Syracuse University, especially the Newhouse School, which has some prestige. Um, I talked with somebody in a video chat from the Alumni Career Services, Alumni Support. I think it's the Alumni Support Center. Um, and I gave her my resume, and she told me to write down some companies that I like to check for immediate work, and some for like long term or more, preferable work. I haven't heard back yet. Um, I know that was last week. There was a holiday at the beginning of this week. I know. Um, and I haven't heard back from that. My car was repossessed. I owed 5,500 and something dollars on it. 5,500, maybe 30 or $60 or something or other on it. Um, and there's a 2 week window in which I could pay what to me would be exorbitant fees, like a $70 towing fee and these other repossession fee and so forth, on top of the extra money owed just to get the car back. And at this point, I don't have anything. I So the car was repossessed. Fortunately, I knew enough ahead of time. I got an instinct to grab everything out of it. So the license plates were the only things that were in the car, along with broken windshield wiper or something, extra windshield wiper. So it was towed away, and I got the license plates, and I turned them into the DMV. And in fact, I was told at the DMV I owe something like $300 just after turning in the plates, the stupid plates. I have all these bills piling up, and I know that's common to a lot of people. It's not just myself. Um, so I'm feeling better than I was last time. I was really depressed and down. I was thinking at some point of like just non-existing, no ideation, just worried about my future, and no direction for my future in terms of like where will I be, because there is an eviction process that I'd been told has begun, but I haven't seen any paperwork about it. So finally, yesterday, a dear friend, was able to drive me over to. There is a sort of a happy ending to this. Drive me over to the county Department of Social Services, and it went smoothly. I had already filled out both the SNAP application and the public assistance application, and um, fortunately, hardly anybody was in line. There was only one person ahead of me, and he was there um, until I got, he stayed with me, and we sat down, and I got my number, and I waited. Those of you probably been through this yourself might know, would know. So my number was called. I went straight to window four, and got sat down, got right straight to work. I explained my situation, gave the application over, carefully put in two separate envelopes, large envelopes, and she asked me some questions. Um, I handed over, and she said somebody would be calling me back for a phone interview, and it was about as rapid as that and smooth as that. So I got up, I left, and this friend of mine, drove me somewhere because I was really hungry, and we were talking about this other project I had, the um, Torah Decoded, I believe, which is another podcast on this channel. I want to make a book and or documentary about this, and I've been working on it for quite a while, over time, gathering research and so forth. And it's an alternative to the documentary hypothesis. And a lot of you are probably saying, "What's the document?" Like I lost you already. But just bear with me. In academia, there's the thought that it's been going for since at least somewhere in Germany, I think it started, but since maybe this 50s, or I can't remember. It's maybe 70s, something like that. The documentary hypothesis, look it up. It's the hypothesis or the thesis that there were several writers that wrote parts that were integrated into the Torah, the five books of Moses. And then there was an editor that put it all together. Well, the devil's in the details, so to speak. I had followed that too. I believed that, they've been persuasive to me, but over time there were so many codes, and when I go on about codes, I think maybe people glaze over. They don't know what I'm talking about, but it's not just, the 57 plus 69 equals the end times or something. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the actual structure. When you look at the Hebrew text itself, there are codes that and structures and layouts and the names and the numbers and everything um, point away from the documentary hypothesis so clearly. And I want to make this. So anyway, so he was talking about a book he'd read called the Moses Scroll, and da da da. And then he asked me, "Am I? Do I know Hebrew? Can I read Hebrew? Am I fluent?" Yeah, yeah, I am. I mean, I'm not real truly fluent, but I can. I think I know enough about Hebrew to figure it out. I took two courses of Hebrew in college, and I studied some for my bar mitzvah. And since then, especially 2002 onward, um, I've studied enough about Kabbalistic texts and the Torah itself to understand Hebrew to a reasonable degree, a working degree. So, and I have a mind that doesn't just gloss over things. I want to understand it in detail. Same thing with physics, theoretical physics. Me being a Star Trek fan, so he suggested, "Have you ever thought about going for a PhD in something like this? Like you've done a lot of the research already." And it's true, I have. My mom had a PhD, I believe, in psychology or perception. I know she, if I remember, and I'm like 90% sure, 80 something percent sure, her PhD was in psychology. I know she was a doctor. Um, and I know she got a master's before that. Maybe the master's was also in psychology to some degree. I don't know, but I know she majored in psychology. Let's just put it that way, and she got a doctorate degree from Yale, and then further on to MIT. Yeah, that's how well educated my mom was. And also again being a Mensa member, and that's where she met her future husband. So, and her brother was also a Mensa member who nudged her, and she finally relented and joined Mensa. So anyway, I only have two bachelor's degrees. I got I got part time over 5 years, but I got them. And I commuted back and forth. I didn't live on campus. I was from Syracuse University. And so I felt somewhat deficient. I don't want to say deficient. That makes me seem like I have low self esteem. Um, a lacking. I felt a lacking that um, I'm so much of a scholar at heart. And yet I just have two bachelor's degrees, and a lot of people have bachelor's degrees. And then some people have master's degrees, and then like some people like my mom had doctorate degrees, um, and then went further. um, I don't know, MIT. I guess she was working there. I'm confused whether she was working there afterwards or just or got some kind of degree from it. Anyway, um, because I where do you go from doctorate? I don't know. Double doctorate. I don't know. Uber doctorate. So um, it would be nice if I could develop further than just these bachelor's degrees, because I'm frankly getting tired of just saying I have two two bachelor's degrees. If I said doctorate degree, sorry, I was a misspeak, miswording. Two bachelor's degrees. I want something more on my what do they call it? Not CVS, sir, CV, or my resume. So I can further apply to Nichols grocery store or something supermarket or something where people just turn me down. I want something further in my life. I want to live in a better world, in a better. I want to live in a better world. I want to live in a world. Here's my. I have a dream speech. I want to live in a better world where politics is sane and there's compassion, and I want to live in a world where people can be able to rise to their potential, commensurate with their abilities and so forth. I want to live in a better world. There's my short essay. I want to live in a world like what's depicted in Star Trek, frankly. So anyway, where there's no poverty, there's no war, people treat each other decently, and people work things out, respectively. Respectively. Anyway, there's another endorsement for Star Trek, and that was one of the reasons. That was one of the major reasons, other than the 1992 campaign, that motivated me to want to go into politics. At this point, I don't think I'd ever want to go. I don't think I want to go into politics right now. First of all, I don't. I've never had the money to go into politics, and second of all, it's screwed up right now. So screwed up that I really I don't want to even try. I think it's fruitless, and that's a shame because then the narcissists just it just makes room for the narcissists to step in and just screw everything over and screw the rest of us over and create an oligarchy. Um, anyway, that's about it. I left. I called somebody out of the blue. See, going back to Claude AI. So this morning, early in the morning, I conversed with Claude AI in a new chat. See what see what AI skills I have. Um, I want. I'm out of work. I don't have a car, so give me jobs around here. Given this resume that I shared with you, what companies, where to go to look for work within walking distance, and it gave me something nice and gave me the phone number, and I called, and she liked talking with me, and I know what to say on the phone. I mean, I'm not buttering her up, but I mean, I'm smart enough that I can speak well in a good interview, say. So she said she'd like to talk with me further, meet in person, and am I available tomorrow? And she'll give me she'll give me a message today, maybe tomorrow. Um, Hopefully that's something, because I don't want to be on like a government dole or something. I'm very I have pride in myself and dignity and so forth. And I want like a surgical. I was thinking of this yesterday. I want a surgical means of help. Like I have this eviction problem. I am not employed yet, so there's an issue of food, and I want to be able to pay rent, and I want to leave any relationship on a positive basis, even if I'm thrown out or whatever. Like I want to leave on a positive note. That's how I am in life, and I guess you can't call it megalomania because that means that it's a false sense of ego. But I've always had a strong positive self-image and sense of self-esteem and thinking positively, and that then married or jibed with Star Trek, it's always been positive and presented a positive, constructive future. And there's always hope. There are always possibilities, Spock said. um, so I've been talking for quite a while. It's about the length of an episode of Star Trek, the original series from the 1960s, 53 minutes and something seconds, almost 54 minutes. So I guess I'll leave it at that. And you may see this me wearing this shirt again in a future video. But I hope you have a good day. Remember, please support me if you can by going to vvproductions.media or contacting me or something, or leaving a comment. Please leave comments below. And I'll talk with you next time. Bye.